Hey, what's up everybody? Jason here. Thanks for stopping by the channel today. So I want to answer the question, should Spark 1 owners upgrade to the Spark 2? So I want to do this a little bit differently because there's already a gazillion videos out there talking about the Spark features. I want to focus more on sound quality and recording. So detailed chapters are down below. I'm going to get into recording with USB on both, with line out, and miking it with an SM57, and then also just capturing regular phone audio right in front of me as I'm playing, so we can hopefully hear what the differences are between the Spark 1 and the Spark 2. But let's just quickly get into a feature overview about what's different. All right, quickly, the feature differences. Obviously, it's 50 watts instead of 40 watts. It has a dedicated Bluetooth button, so if your Bluetooth goes wonky, it's easy to repair like every other Bluetooth device. That was always a pain that people complained about with the Spark 1. It's got line outs, which is nice because it gives you more options for recording and playing live. I know a lot of people did that mod. I never did because I didn't really need to. I used the Spark 40 to jam with the band when I was playing guitar and singing, and also used it for practicing playing bass with another band, and I always thought it was plenty loud enough, but it's nice to have those built-in options now. It also has a looper, which is nice. Now, the caveat with the looper, which you probably already know, is you've got to press the buttons up on top. A better option might be to keep the Spark 1 and get a U-looper, and this is by Xsonic. This will work with the Spark, this will work with the Yamaha THR, so if you want to just upgrade to get a looper, I honestly wouldn't bother because it's a pain to use with those buttons. If you want a foot controller, you'd have to buy the Spark Control X, which gets you control over the looper, but it gets you a bunch of other stuff that you can do for changing presets and effects and stuff like that. So if you buy the Spark 2 and you buy that Spark control unit, you're probably getting somewhere around $500-600 with tax and shipping. I'll correct myself on the screen if I got that wrong. So those are really the biggest differences between them. Build quality is basically the same, which is to say it's really good. I always thought the original Spark was put together real well, except for that really ugly beige particle board cardboard around the speakers. Now on the new one, it looks nicer when you take the grill off, but the material's the same. It's just basically painted black, but it does look a lot nicer if you do take the speaker grill off, and it does still feel like a nice high quality unit. The other thing that's really subtle, I haven't seen people talk about this, is the sound quality. It's different. I think it's better, and part of it is because they've actually angled the speakers out a little bit. So instead of the speakers just being straight on, they're actually angled outwards a little bit. You should be able to tell from these pictures, but other than that, the app and everything is all the same. Yes, it has the AI features and all that kind of stuff, but it's nice that you can switch back and forth between the Spark 1, the Spark 2, the Live, the Mini, all in the app, and it's pretty seamless. Okay, here's a little bit about how I did the audio setup. So if you're on a Mac, press Command and Spacebar and then start typing in MID, and then you're going to get this Audio MIDI Setup app, which is going to bring up this box. And what I did was create an aggregate device. And by doing that, I'm able to play once and then record all of the inputs on the Spark and the inputs on my Focusrite at the same time. So this basically just connects the Clarett, which has 18 inputs and 8 outputs, and the Spark USB audio, which has 2 inputs and 2 outputs. Now in this one, if you really want, you see it colors them differently up at the top. You can rename these as well, so it's a little bit easier to see in your DAW, but that's what I did to make sure I only had to play things once. Now with the Spark, obviously it doesn't have a line out, so I only recorded over USB and through the SM57 using the Clarett. And the reason why I didn't use the headphone out is I already did a video on that, and it sounds identical with the headphone out and the USB. The last thing I'm going to do with the audio test is I basically had my phone sitting in front of me for a couple of the tests, and I had both of the Sparks right in front of me, and I just played a couple of things to hopefully try to help you hear how it sounds just in the room, because audibly, yes, there is a difference. I'm going to say right now the Spark 2 does sound better. It's not as muddy. It's a little more clear, and it sounds a little bit more full. So let's get into some of these playing examples so you can hear these. All right, so the Spark 2 does sound better. Would I say it sounds a lot better? It's hard to say, but it is definitely more clear and it does sound more full. Now with the Spark 1, you could use the EQ pedal to get rid of the bassiness and the muddiness, which was a huge complaint from a lot of Spark 1 owners. But even just recording these and listening to them in the room, the Spark 2 does sound better, sounds more clear, sounds more full. I can't say it's a night and day difference, but if sound quality is your biggest thing, I think it's probably worth the upgrade because, well, unless you're going to keep the Spark 1. And to be blunt, my Spark 1's been sitting on a shelf. I've been using it as a music speaker. I haven't even been using it because I like the sound of the Yamaha THR better. I'm going to do another test and compare the THR to the new Spark 2 because I think this might actually change my mind. So to say that it sounds a lot better, maybe that's a bit of a stretch, but let's listen to some of the phone captured audio so you can just hopefully hear the differences if you're standing right in front of the thing. Okay, so the last thing I'll say is someone had asked me on one of my previous videos, does it work with Soundshed? It will connect to Soundshed. Soundshed, the desktop app on the Mac at least, and the web app will both see it and connect to it, but it won't allow you to actually control it. So if you start to turn some of those things on and off, the amp or the reverb or some of those other types of things, it doesn't actually change it on the amp itself. But if you change the presets on the amp, it is reflected in the app. So I don't know why that doesn't work, but Soundshed was always kind of flaky for me anyway. But I don't know if that's a consideration for some of you because the app is okay. I mean, it's the same complaint I have with the app, any desktop amp app using it on the phone. Trying to dial in your settings on an app is really just a pain with those little tiny buttons and stuff like that. But none of this stuff is a deal breaker for sure. All right, so is this a worthwhile upgrade? Man, I've been trying to record this outro for about an hour now. There's so much that goes into that question. I will say sound quality wise, yes, it's worth the upgrade because it does sound more clear and it does sound more full without having to fiddle around with the EQ pedal. The other new features would really depend on what you use it for. So whether you're a bedroom player or you just play for fun or you just want to practice with a band or you want to play in a live setting, it really depends. I'll work my way backwards from that. If you are a serious musician playing live, you're not using a Spark amp no matter what. I'm sure there's some people that might bring it around to open mics and little practice gigs and stuff like that, but nobody's using this as a live rig. So line outs, meaningless in that context. Line outs, very meaningful if you're using it to record, because the recorded samples I did, the line outs more accurately reproduced what my ears heard when I was playing in front of the thing. So that's nice. The USB ones did not sound as clear, at least to my ears, and hopefully you could tell on the recordings from either the phone recordings that I was doing or the ones that I was playing back there. The looper, not really a worthwhile upgrade because it's annoying having to use those buttons at the top. It's pretty simple to use, but I would get one of these if that's the biggest thing that you want. Otherwise, you're going to have to shell out another couple $100 for the Spark Control X. Well, at least it's $210 Canadian, meaning it's probably $179, $169 US. I didn't really check. So, the other features, the AI, the jam, the smart jam, the smart chords, all that stuff, take them or leave them. I always thought the smart jam and the chord things were garbage anyway. Ultimate Guitar is a much better option if you want to play with stuff. And if you want to use smart jam, if you're a Mac user, GarageBand and Logic have built-in session players, which is infinitely better than the session players here. In fact, when I was trying to use this with the Spark 2, I kept getting errors. I kept getting errors trying to create AI tones. I kept getting errors trying to upgrade the firmware. These things, not a deal breaker by any stretch. I'll just reset the device and kind of try those things again. So I will say definitely if sound quality is your number one thing, yes, it's a worthwhile upgrade because you can probably still get, 150, 200 bucks selling your Spark privately if it's in good shape and unmodded. And then you've got just a little bit of money to shell out to upgrade to the new one. So if you've got any questions about the Spark 2, drop them below. I know there's a gazillion videos that are out there. There never used to be when the first one came out, but I'm going to do a comparison between the THR and the Spark 2, just mostly for myself because I do like the way the THR sounds and I do want to mic them both to hear the differences. So remember to hit like and subscribe. You'll get notified when those come out. Drop a question or comment below and I would be happy to answer it. Thanks for watching.